Welcome to Guess the Change. If you haven't already watched our previous episodes, I'm Michaela, the sustainability representative for the Guestlist. Today, I'm excited to be interviewing Carolina Álvarez-Ossorio. Without further ado, welcome Carolina. It's fantastic to have you on Guess for Change today. Do you think that storytelling perhaps has a place in sustainable marketing in a sense that it can elaborate why you don't need that fleece? Do you feel storytelling has its place?
Absolutely. And something that we say a lot at Ecoalf'S is that we are not so much a storytelling company, we are a story-doing company. So we want to tell you, we tell you that there is a problem in the ocean, but we want to tackle that problem. And we want to give you solutions on how to tackle that problem, no? So I think for us, it's about being very honest, very humble, and very transparent. There is a lot of things we need to improve, and we are working very hard, the whole team, to improve them. But we want to tell you that, yes, in 2015, we started our Upcycling the Oceans project when we saw the amount of waste the fishermen are collecting from the bottom of the ocean. And since then, this project that started with 3 fishermen in the port of Villajoyosa in the south coast of Spain, today has expanded across the whole coast of Spain, the Mediterranean coast, in more than 40 ports. We've replicated the model in Thailand, in Greece, in Italy, and we collaborate with the support of more than 3,000 fishermen. And we've collected already 700 tons of waste from the bottom of the ocean, no? Because at the end, 75% of the waste that you see in the ocean is at the bottom of the ocean. So you actually don't see it. And nobody's collecting this, but the fishermen are, no? So for us, it was very important once we found out this was happening, to work together, to partner with them, and to not just raise awareness on the problem of marine debris, but also develop a circular economy system whereby we collect, we classify, we recycle, and then we integrate it again in the loop by developing a sneaker or developing garments. So absolutely, I think for us it's about story doing, and it's about always finding how to improve, because that's another thing, no? Sustainability is about its responsibility, and it's about little steps and improving every season or every day.
That's what did you say? 73% of the plastic at the ocean we can't see. It's all at the bottom.
75%, not plastic, but of marine debris. So you can find, like I've been on the boat with a fisherman many times, and you would see a tire, a bicycle, a shoe. It's not just plastic. Unfortunately, plastic now is the material everybody's talking about. But from what we collect, only 10% is plastic. The rest is a mix of different materials and waste.
Giving these fishermen more purpose, because I can imagine the amount of fish that they bring in every day is definitely reduced to what they perhaps when they were first started. And then along with the mishaps of COVID, do you feel that there was perhaps a setback when it came to storytelling when COVID was introduced, because we finally were all talking about plastic and then all of a sudden it was now focused on a pandemic? Do you think that slowed the kind of audience reach in terms of educating everyone?
I think it has accelerated. I think COVID has accelerated the topic of sustainability, the mindset of sustainability, the interest. I'm not so sure about the habit, the shopping habit, because I think there is a gap there. But I think the interest has been accelerated. And I think we've seen it, no? When we were all in our houses on lockdown, the only thing that was benefiting from this was Earth. And suddenly you could see the amazing blue skies, you could hear this amount of birds in the middle of the city, dolphins in the canals in Italy. So amazing images that we would have never imagined when we stop. So I think it has made us reflect on how we're doing things, on how we're in a very fast-paced environment, how we need to value time and what we do and how we do things and how everything has an impact. And we only have one planet, so we need to take care, especially for the future generations, no? And in particular for us at Ecoalf, we actually gave birth to a new sustainable premium line that we are launching this autumn season, which has been like one of the biggest creativities and developments for us during lockdown.
But then you also mentioned you're not sure how consumer habits are perhaps changing. Do you think that responsibility in those changes lies in perhaps the consumer, or is it the industry's responsibility, perhaps the brands, or whatever, even the responsibility of the government to change these consumer habits?
I think it's a responsibility of all of us, and not just in the industry, but in all the industry and in our lives. No? So I think we are all stakeholders, but we have different levels. I think, of course, governments, it would be amazing for them to support, no, or to how do you say, to incentivize sustainable businesses or businesses that are doing things that have a positive impact in the environment. I think that would be a great accelerator and motivator for the economy and for the projects. I think brands have a huge responsibility in terms of the business model that needs to be changed and shifting the way things are done, which is probably the most difficult part, no? To be able to do things differently and having the planet at the core. It cannot be a department that's called corporate social responsibility or sustainability. It needs to be integrated across every single thing that we do or that is done. And then I think the customers, you said it, no? I think they play a huge role. I think they're the ones that need to demand, and I think we at Ecoalf see a younger generation demanding this, which is fantastic. But they're the ones who also need to be asking the questions and putting the pressure on the companies as well. No, this is why for us transparency is important, and it helps both of us. It helps the company internally to improve every season and to know what we need to do better and to measure. And then it helps the consumer to educate them, to make them understand, no, where is this coming from? How is it being made? What does it mean? And how much impact are we generating with this, no? So yeah, I think it's all these stakeholders, and the responsibility lies on all of us in our day-to-day.
You mentioned reaching out for that further impact, and I'm sure social media helps that tremendously, especially with the younger generation. But there is, I know, certain worries, for example, that people have just understood the whole nooks and crannies of sustainability and what that means as a whole. And I know there's also some hesitation with green influencers per se, who don't necessarily want to preach everything that they found out on their own platforms, specifically because they feel like someone's going to naysay them or try and cut them out. Now there's a whole concept of circularity being introduced, and we're far from perhaps using sustainable practices, not that they need to be scrapped out completely, but it needs to be more of an action-do, circular focus, and like you said from the beginning, an eco model and an eco design. So how do you think actually at the moment, do you think enough people are aware of a circularity?
No, I think there is a lot of information out there. I think there is a lot of different channels where you can get information. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, no? Where to be informed, what to believe, what to trust, and where does it start? So I think there is a lot out there. But I think it's very important for the brands. I think the brands, and I think education. For us, education is key, no? I think that circularity is something that needs to be integrated from the stage of learning, not just fashion, but like the stage of learning for any of us to start thinking circular, no? For an architect, for a doctor, for anybody. And I think that's the challenging part, but it needs to be integrated since the beginning.
I agree. And coming from a marketing perspective, this question and last question is directed specifically to you as a marketing and communications at Ecoalf. You speak about educating the consumers, but there are a lot of different ways to educate the consumers. There are many ways where perhaps people feel that they're overwhelmed with all this information, and then they perhaps sometimes shut off, or they see all the doom and gloom of the ice caps melting, and then they don't want to focus on that because what can they as an individual do? So as a marketing director with your experience, how do you see this concept as circularity being educated across the world to consumers? Like, what are the main tactics that perhaps other brands can start doing rather than a doom and gloom focus?
Well, I think for us, and we always say the same thing, no? I think for us it's very important to educate, but also showcasing solutions. I think it's okay to alarm and to say, hey, if we continue at this pace, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. But how can we help you to stop this? No, and I think for us it's always about being very real and very hopeful, being realistic, and trying to show a way that you can improve and you can be part of the change. So to me, that's the most important. That's the most important part.
That's great, and it also kind of solidifies your position at the company because you give the problems that are happening on the earth, but then you also provide solutions. It's not a matter of, okay, here's this information, now sort yourself out. You yourself and the entire company are actually making change and stretching further, and it's absolutely amazing what Ecoalf is doing. Thank you so very much for your time. I really enjoyed this. Awesome. Keep doing amazing things and inspiring, and keep creating. You're all in the right direction. Wow, that was truly insightful. I personally didn't know all the facts that Carolina shared today, and I'm absolutely inspired to see more brands making similar changes. For more information and discussions like these, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to be in the loop to close the loop.